So I did basically zero planning for this panel. I just thought it would be a good idea to have a Future of BasedCon panel because we've been doing this now. This is our 5th year, and I want to talk a little bit about what we've done wrong and what we've done right, and what we should do in the future, and how we can grow and still be what we are. And why don't we just why don't we start with, what were you guys thinking when I first proposed this con, and what was your reaction when we to the original BasedCon?
Well, my reaction was I thought it would be kind of fun to get together and actually meet you in person. And there were a handful of other people who were going that I thought would be interesting to meet. So I signed up and agreed to come.
Yeah, for me, I've been trying to transition my career a little bit to do more fiction writing. I thought this would be great. Oh my gosh, a conservative science fiction, group. Oh my God, I try it. And I'm gonna say I still feel the same way I did the first con, which is this is family. There's none of the stress when you go to other conventions. Yes, it's smaller, but we're family friendly. We've got kids running around. No one's bothered by it. Everybody's getting along. There's no drama, which goes to Rob's comments earlier about somebody. But it's just, so it seems to me we should be able to do more with that, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard about BasedCon, I've been friends with Rob online for I don't even know how long. I don't even remember whether I'd met you in person before the first BasedCon or not. I think so.
At Travis's,
yeah,
maybe.
We'd met at Hun, and then when Jared had that COVID gathering at his house.
Yeah.
So it's I can drive out there in under 4 hours, get away during a really awful time, and do something fun, and support my friend. So the BasedCon thing, just happy to help out and pitch in. And I am not a joiner by nature. I'm not someone who's attended a large number of conventions really at all ever. This is the one I go to. And my reaction after the first one was this went way smoother than I thought it would. Way less weird.
Yeah, I was kind of amazed actually that the first one went as smoothly as it did, even though I got almost no sleep the whole weekend.
But that was Alex snoring.
That was, I really, for the first one, as Bill was saying, I slept for a week afterward, no joke. I was so tired, and it's gotten progressively smoother. The second one was a little better, and then now things are running pretty smoothly. There's a few little things like moving a table in during the middle of a panel and stuff because we forgot to get the table in here, stuff like that. But it runs pretty smoothly now, and again, it's about. It's always the reason it's successful as it has been, and it feels as much like a family as it does, is because of all you guys. You were supposed to be on this panel.
I was just going to take your spot because I'm already here.
I've been here the whole time.
He just wanders in and sits in the front row what are we watching?
It's like a child who wanders into the middle of a movie.
I added you actually because Russell dropped out, and so you're my replacement.
Did you get to play. Me that I was supposed to be on the schedule?
Well, you're on the schedule.
Yeah,
I don't know if I told you, but it's on the schedule. So you were not. Were you at the? You were at the first one. You've been at every one.
On the first one.
Okay.
I got there and it was I'm supposed to have a room. Well, all the rooms are full. I'll just sleep here.
Yeah, it was the first one. For those of you who weren't there, it was at this Airbnb in Norton Shores, which is 35-40 minutes from here, and it was a really cool place. But I was expecting 30 to 40 people, and we had 70. And then the next year we went with the same place, and we had 90 people, and it was God was watching out for us because the weather was good and everybody was cool and it worked out, but it could have gone very badly.
It was like a sci-fi kibbutz.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, and people
everybody kicking in and fixing food and hanging out.
And people were people just making fun of us online too for just ridiculing us because we were staying and that we had, it's like this can't be a real thing, and it was like whatever. It's just like people getting together. You have a,
Also, the host was farther right wing than you are.
the host, the guy who owned the place. Yeah, we had somebody try to, and most of you probably heard this story already, but I'll give you an abbreviated version, which is that somebody tried to shut us down, figured out who the owner of the venue was, sent us very long email saying how transphobic and racist and sexist and all the boxes that we checked. And you know, he should think carefully about the sort of people that he rents his place to. The way I found out about this was I went to look at the place after I had reserved it, and I wanted to take a tour of the place, and the guy was going to show it to me, and he said, "I got this email. Do you know who this person is?" And he handed me his laptop, and I was reading through it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to explain what this is about. Like, I don't know, this guy doesn't know me, and I don't know him, and this was supposed to be just renting a place to stay, and he's gonna be like, you know, I don't want any trouble, you know, if you're running some kind of Nazi convention here, you know, so I had to kind of tell him, you know, sci-fi cons have gone kind of leftist, and this was, you know, 4 years ago, and so it wasn't, the atmosphere was very different. It was before everybody knew what Antifa and all these social justice and the cancel culture, these were all kind of new concepts, and so it was like, if you got an email saying so-and-so is sexist, racist, whatever, now you just ignore it because everybody knows this bullshit. But 4 years ago, it was like, I better take this seriously. Well, this guy, so I told him, well, we're kind of a conservative group, and anyway, after I got done explaining what we were, he said, well, I'm more on the conservative side myself, and this was right after the election, and he said, and I don't care what anybody says, but the election was stolen. This was when Biden won, and I just laughed. I laughed so hard because I was like, man, they picked the wrong person to try to. And the guy, he actually came and hung out with us for a while. He was sitting by the fire with people and just chilling and talking, and we were talking about guns and stuff, and it was great. He had a good time. Yes, it was really, really nice. So it worked. It was one of many ways in which I feel like, despite the fact that I had no idea what I was doing, the divine looked out for us, and everything pretty much worked out the way it needed to. So we were very blessed. I want to ask, what do you see as let's say 5 years from now? What would you like to see BasedCon be? And let's start at the other end. We'll start with Lawrence. You're added to the panel now officially.
All right, let's see if this works. Okay, good. I mean, I identify a lot with what you said in the beginning, which is growth is good, but only if it keeps this atmosphere. A lot of you don't know me from Adam, or at least you just know me as like the crazy loud guy. I've DJ'd a lot of conventions in my lifetime, some of them that are less savory than others. And if there is a universal rule that I've seen for conventions that have failed or gone completely stupid, it's that they prioritize recruitment in numbers over recruitment in quality. So I'd rather keep a smaller convention and, get the word out, get some more people who would fit in with this group, but don't prioritize numbers over that quality.
I just want to know when we're going to finally get around to talking about all the good things Hitler did.
He killed Hitler.
You're laughing, right? But there are places where you'd be killing me right now, and it's very real. It's the one thing that really we've kept, even from the smallest. Those first 2 years were really great. I mean, I don't think you could recapture that in a million years, but just the whole casualness of it, but the idea of being able to express things no matter how preposterous and know, oh, well, even if the person vehemently disagrees with you, I think Bill is going to kill me 6 times just at lunch. And
most of us were armed.
yes. So, and then, on top no means no, Bill. It's just the idea that you can say something and go, you might get like a reaction, you might get that's dumb, although I've had a lot of that. I've said some really dumb things, and most of you guys have just been humoring me. But that's nice. It's nice to not like, did I say, do I have to go to HR now? Do I have to, oh crap, did I look up on the internet? Am I now enemy number 1 because I like knocking out that lady who stole the ball from the kid, in the baseball? It's like, and that is worth a lot. I would not want to lose that. No. Even if it meant Rob getting rich. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah, I think something that's good is, 5 years from now, it would be nice to have some organic growth. This is not, to the other panelists' points that they've made, I think we want this to grow so it's more sustainable and Rob makes some more money on it. But we also, I think we're all in agreement here that we don't want to lose the character, and the way to do that is to grow slowly and organically. And I think Rob's done a really nice job of sort of capping the size of it every year to make sure that we don't, grow in a way that's unhealthy. This is not always the best weekend for me because my kids always start school this week, and it's after Labor Day. And there's also like a yard sale in my neighborhood that we can't participate in because my wife doesn't want to schlep everything out to the curb. So I get yelled at for like, we're missing the yard sale again. So maybe a different weekend one year would be nice.
All right.
But I like the location just because it's easy for me to get here. But if I've had 5 years of driving, so if we need to move this, like I can probably make things work. But I just really like this convention. It's the one I go to every year. I like supporting my friends. I like seeing the people who I've met here and I get to keep seeing. And to everyone else's point, like it's a family community environment, and it's really special.
Rob knows how much I love BasedCon. I do. I used to go to gaming cons or science fiction conventions years ago. This was the first writing-oriented convention. It's been a big help to me. What I would like to see, I guess, 5 years is, I look at so many smart and creative people here, and I feel like people should try to work together, combine their skill sets more, do some projects either independently or maybe there is a way to do it under BasedCon auspices. Something where, because we're not just here just to hang out. That's great and I love it, but everybody's trying to boost their careers. Everybody's trying to, also a lot of people want to share a message. Well, then there's opportunity. If you're a writer and you want to find an editor, if you're an artist, want to find a writer, we need to do more of that. Some people, I think it was last year, we're talking about forming some writing groups. I just think people need to be, this is where you're going to find people you're likely to agree with. A lot more than you're going to find at other conventions. A lot more you're going to find randomly picking people up on the street. So I'd like to see some of that. If I can help anybody do it, I'm there to do it.
Yeah, I strongly agree with that, and I don't. One of the problems, an issue with BasedCon is that I'm the bottleneck, right? Like everything's got to go through me, and I would love to see. To some extent that's unavoidable, but I would love to see more of an organic growth of something like the writing groups, and even if there was some kind of like an incubator, like I talked before about almost like a hybrid kind of incubator, not I say vanity press, but something along the lines of where it's not a real publisher necessarily, but it's something where we maybe sort of kind of a hybrid model where you would pay for certain services, and we would help each other get published, and something that would work as sort of a small kind of environment where we could all kind of help each other out with the aspects of publishing. And these are all just kind of very, as you can tell as I'm kind of babbling, they're vaguely defined ideas, but the idea of like an incubator or some kind of pipeline so that people, like all the people, the writer workshop, or I would love to see additional building onto that as far as like actually getting books out there and getting either publishing them ourselves or connecting with a publisher and saying and setting up some kind of relationship that way. And did you have a?
I was just thinking
Let-
like
take
the
the-
writer's track where it's more
Hang
like
on,
a.
take the microphone.
Maybe like a writer's track where you have small groups meeting for specific purposes, maybe presentations or things that are working on the mechanics of writing and things like that. And then, yeah, an incubator model, but we'd have to look at the different models that are out there and pick one that would work for this environment.
And last year, a couple of us, Rob humored us as we were reaching out and talking about maybe there's some sort of shared world, a BasedCon world where
that's
we,
another possibility.
where you could, different people could write into it, and if you did it right and made it, I want to say marketable, but the word whorish comes out. If you made it so that it would make money, that as BasedCon goes, this family goes, and it costs money to do it. That's why I've been urging people to buy the shirts and the mugs and stuff, because that this all costs money, and it's not just volunteers. So, but I would like to see. It would thrill me if next year 10 people here who haven't published yet came up to me and said, "By the way, we're really inspired by that panel that you guys had. We've all published books." That's what I want to hear. I want to see people succeed.
Yeah. So Wally wanted to say something, and Tony looks like he's got his hand up, but Hans hasn't answered the question yet. So let's do that first, and then we'll get you guys.
Sure. I think location-wise, I mean, if you're no longer tied to Grand Rapids, there's probably not going to be a reason to hold it specifically in Grand Rapids, and finding some airport hub that's convenient to a major airport where the conference could be held. That's probably what 5 years from now is going to look like. But there's one thing, organic growth is good, but the one thing that I think makes BasedCon such a wonderful experience is the single track nature of the convention. Everyone shares the common experience of the common program track that we have. That's hard to sustain as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, because of course you come to a convention, you'd like to be able to participate in it, and it gets harder to do if we have 500 people attending and we have the same number of panels. So that's that growth versus the single track common experience nature of BaseCon is something we're going to have to work out.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and I keep kind of looking at maybe splitting into multiple tracks, and we're never quite at the point where I feel like that's like we've split out a couple of things. Like we have I should probably mention anyway. The 8 p.m. tonight, Alex, who was on the previous panel, is doing a gaming event, and I'm not maybe across the hall. I don't know if he's in here or if he's preparing or whatever, but so we do have some stuff going on, like it's different events, but we're still mainly a one track con, so to speak, and that's good and bad. I mean, I do like the shared nature of it because we all kind of like know where the thing is going on, and we all experience the same thing. But then it's like, if we're not all writers, some of us are just readers, some of us are gamers, and I would love to be, inclusive to all of those people in the best sense of the word. So I would like to have maybe one main track, but then have other, like a writing track and a gaming track kind of going on that at not necessarily at all the time, but have some alternate events, so that there's always something that there's always shared experiences, but there's always something for everybody to be interested in that they can go to.
Can I tag on that
Yep.
really quick? Something that Jill said down there that I think is one of the most amazing things about this convention, at least I felt this way ever since day one, is what you actually did by accident by setting up the What the Frack panel. You actually set it up very well in the sense that we had very dissenting and different opinions on here. So I feel like one of the things that BasedCon has done well, and I'd love to see more of, is setting up those panels where it actually is kind of almost like a debate, where you have different perspectives, and respectfully, in a nice way, you get to kind of hash that out, and it's a very interesting conversation. I learn a lot just from talking and listening to people going back and forth, disagreeing openly on things, and having that conversation. That is gold. I've never experienced that. Every other convention is all about groupthink and all of that. This is exactly the opposite. I love that.
One of the inciting incidents that brought us to BasedCon is that I went to a very large science fiction convention. I've told this story before, and I went to a religion and sci-fi and fantasy convention, thinking it would be it was an interesting topic. And there were, I believe, 5 people on the panel, including the moderator, and every single one of them was an atheist. Like, I don't even, statistically, how is that even possible? Like, it's like, if you're going to have a religion panel, it's have some religious people. Maybe have a Jew, a Muslim, a Christian, God forbid,
And one other thing that we have not mentioned, and really everybody should applaud Hans for the base book sale. Because that is, and look, money's tight for everybody. 99 cents, it's not that tight. And if you can't afford that, then share it. Share it with your friends, encourage other people to share it. Let's get, because that can be the be all and end all for driving you up traffic on Amazon and getting maybe some people who read your book, then share it, and you really take off. So again, that's what this can do.
Just to ride on that comment, we're also at the point now where I do think BasedCon can network with like-minded publishers. If we can make it work, for example, for Raconteur to have a more formal presence here, they'll jump on that. Same with Jumpmaster, same with Canon, same with Kennedy. I think bringing, and for the purpose of, if you are trying to get folks actively involved, and saying, more of those, because Dan, I can say that I wasn't I didn't have a novel last year. I have a novel this year because I went to the novel writing workshop, kind of thing. So I do think that, yeah.
And Amazon even recommended it to me on my Kindle the other day. Wow.
See? Okay. So yeah, I think, and if you have a writer's track, and if you want to have, you could even go to as far as pitch sessions. Take some time to meet with, with editors and publishers, and say, hey, here's an idea, do you think it'll fit? Or to even just have, because at LibertyCon, all of these presses are now having their what's new at, and bringing that to a targeted audience, I think, is valuable.
Yeah, and I should, I'll talk a little bit more about this, but I would like to have done more to reach out to Raconteur and some of these other publishers. This past year, like I keep coming to BasedCon thinking, like, well, last year was a little rough for me, but the next year things should be a little better. And this year has been an absolute disaster for me as far as just getting this thing put together as well as it was. This year was as much as I could handle. Yeah, hopefully, hopefully this year I will be able to reach. I shouldn't even say this stuff out loud.
Next year.
Lightning. Can you be struck by lightning indoors?
You
but
can.
I would really. I can. And he broke both his wrists again.
I still feel bad about that.
That's right. It was your fault, wasn't it? Anyway, hopefully I will be able to reach out to Raconteur and to Ban and of course Wargate and some of the others. So you had a comment? It's been so long.
Wait, Bill does.
Okay, well, if you remember, let me know. Just
Bill
raise
does.
your hand. Oh, yes.
I'm kind of reluctant to say this because it sounds like I'm being intrusive and, into your business. All right, a couple of pieces of advice, feel free to ignore. if you're moving day after tomorrow, don't also change the location of BasedCon this year, because moving a continent away, you're going to have so many more problems crop up that you're not realizing right now. Best to know at least the ground you're familiar with. Change it next year, like the next time, because that way you have time to get used to the new way of doing things. The other thing is one of the reasons I heard about the very first BasedCon in time to where I could have tried to attend, but at the time I didn't know you, I didn't know any of these people, and the way it sounded a little bit like a writer's retreat, which I love writer's retreats, but also a little bit like an Idaho gun cult compound.
But you love those too, so.
Yeah.
Is that a negative or a positive?
Well, so yeah, I bravely waited a year to see how the first one went, and then it's kind of like, okay. It took me 2 years to finally get around to doing this, but I regret missing the smaller thing that was very much like a writer's retreat rather than a formal convention. So maybe consider when BasedCon is 5 years down the road and it's bigger, have sub events like small group, maybe even invitational writers retreats, maybe even to specifically do a project like you said of, okay, we're going to do a BasedCon anthology, and here's our invited participants. Is that, yeah, is that, but anyway, things like that.
I was laughing at Ann doing, yes.
Oh, yeah, but don't move immediately.
Can we also have the crazy gun cult one
get
as
that
well?
one.
I mean,
Rob, the most organic growth BasedCon could have would be when we start having the Newquist Kids books.
Yeah.
Crazy Rage Day, invite Larry Correa as your guest speaker.
Yeah, Larry, I mentioned earlier, I tried to get Larry this year, and I was talking to him, but he had a daughter getting married this weekend, so it was not going to work out. So we're going to try that again.
Very rude of them to.
In the
Most of you
background?
I know we're talking about moving the con, and the reason we're talking about it is because, well, there's two reasons. One is that the only reason that it's here in the first place is because this is where I am, and I didn't know how many people were going to show up, and I didn't want to drive across the country and just be with like 6 other people or something. So it was like, so now I've got all these people coming to Grand Rapids, which is kind of it's not the middle of nowhere, but it's not the most convenient place to get to, and so there's no good reason really to have it here other than that I'm here, and I am probably leaving because I'm insane, but I'm on Tuesday I'm leaving the country. I'm flying to Ecuador, and for an indeterminate amount of time. I'm at least 90 days and possibly until next BasedCon, basically. I might be more or less moving down there. So that's the reason why we're talking about moving it. We've talked about places like Indianapolis, Kansas City came up, Tampa was
Dallas.
suggested, Dallas was another one, Nashville, Little Rock. So ideally, easily accessible
Yeah.
to a major airport, somewhere in this, central part of the country, central eastern maybe. Dallas would probably be as far west as we'd want to go. What's that? Somebody's Indianapolis. I like the idea of Indianapolis because it's still. Because we do have a lot of people coming from around this area, so it's still pretty accessible
There's
to
a
most
great one
people.
5 minutes down the road from here.
What's that?
There's a great gun range 5 minutes down the road from here.
Cincinnati, Gary, Indiana.
Hell, we might as well do it in Detroit.
Have you considered Chicago?
No.
Rob, I've got a barn.
Let's put on a show.
Oh yeah, if the National Guard is there, maybe. Nah, I'm not a fan of Chicago for. Yeah, I'm not a. What's that? Houston, Planet Houston. Houston, I guess. Yeah, we'd have to. We couldn't do it in like September, but okay. So any other suggestions for cities? Wichita. Pittsburgh. Sell me on Pittsburgh.
Sam Rob's there. He's a great guy. The city itself might be a blue dot, but I've lived in that area, and trust me, the people around that city are not blue dot people. And there's areas of the city itself may not be out, but it's got a decent airport, and out toward the airport, you've got Moon Township. Places are growing. And
Isn't that every city, basically? All the cities are blue and everything around it's
Yeah,
red?
they're all just shades of blue, and that's the other. Okay, so that brings up another point.
Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky.
Cincinnati,
Air hub, lots of convention hotels, not very
Cincinnati,
expensive.
Northern Kentucky. Okay. So that brings up another point, which is that we were not a, a typical convention because we started off in this kind of remote Airbnb, so we had to provide our own food. So when I started looking for hotels, well, I didn't want to be downtown Grand Rapids because it was, it's very woke, occupied territory and stuff. It's also a long way from the airport, and the suburbs are more friendly, and this is very close to the airport, obviously, and very convenient for me. The only problem with this is that there's no really walkable restaurants, so it's not, you can't really do this as a typical con, so we have to provide. Did I just turn this off?
The food here has been excellent, Rob. Thank you.
Today's lunch was great. Today's lunch was better than yesterday's dinner.
Excellent. Good. I'm glad to hear that because they did make some changes apparently to the staff because we had some problems last year. One of the problems with this group is that nobody complains. So I kind of heard a few stories like over the past year about oh yeah, by the way, I got food poisoning last year. And I was like, you did what? When were you going to tell me this? Apparently there were some major problems with the food, but that seems to have been resolved. So that's good. So how do people feel about the whole food being provided, and should we make it more like a typical con where we could offer an option with food, but then make it in a place where there's walkable fast food restaurants and stuff? Is that important to people? Okay.
So speaking as a 5-year life member, I believe it was last year, Rob, that you started adding a meal supplement for life members. That the life membership gets you admission, but because of the cost of food, if you're going to eat, that's extra. And I think that, especially as you've expressed a desire to try to make the con as accessible as can be to younger people, you were meaning college rather than quite this young, but that
Either one.
Hey, we're doing our best to provide that organic growth in attendance.
We need that.
But I think and especially as you were saying, kind of people just looking at, here's the cost of a ticket to this one versus a cost of a ticket to this one. I think it would make a lot of sense to completely make meal tickets a la carte. I think it's still a very good idea to have that as an option. It adds a lot to that family atmosphere that people have been talking about. and that I think is a major part of what makes this con distinctive. But if you had that just as everybody, hey, here's your meal option, here's your admission ticket and all that, I think that would be pretty clean. It'll allow you to track the actual costs in terms of, you know, what you're recouping and all that. So,
Yeah, but we need bacon.
Well, thank you for that opinion. I'd like to pose a contrasting view in that I think that doing the meals is a fundamental feature of this convention, in that it's a lot of fun. We're all here together at our meetings and you don't know who you're going to sit with and you're going to go and I think it makes it unique compared to other conventions I've been, where you get a high quality meal and we're sitting together and you come here for this, you don't need a restaurant. You don't need to go to an exciting venue. You get to stay at an inexpensive venue. So I actually think it's a feature, not a workaround.
I mean,
in my opinion.
it was kind of an accidental thing. Is that we kind of backed into that, and it was like, and they give us, the way it works is we spend a certain amount of food, and then they give us all this meeting space basically for free. So that's why, like the vast majority of the cost is actually the food. It's a little hard to price out exactly what is what, but yeah. So the food is a little expensive, but that's because it includes the rest of this. So okay, that's interesting because I never know if there are people like showing up like this is really cool, but like it's weird that they're providing all our meals and stuff. So it's good that there's some positive feedback to that.
I think that's a wonderful point because I mean, look, it builds camaraderie and you know we all get to know one another.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's cool, but I wasn't. I never know if I'm. Well, I'm weird, obviously, so I don't know if my tastes are.
We're all weird here.
Typical. We're all weird, but in different ways.
But if we're going to build toward doing projects and stuff like that, you better get to know people, and that's how you get to know people.
Very true. Yes.
I wanted to say, to chime in with that, I think, yeah, eating together makes a big, it's really how you get to know people. And at a lot of conventions and cons, people leave. And then sometimes they just don't come back. So, you know, they end up like, oh, I only want to do the morning stuff, and then they're gone for the rest of the day, and you don't meet them. And then living in Cincinnati, which was brought up as a possible place, I can tell you would not be able to get food like this for this price anywhere. So however we want to grow, the cost of the food is going to be and of the venue is going to be a big factor. This is really affordable, and I think that's an excellent reason to keep it here, at least for a while.
Okay, that's good to know.
I did want to throw one in there. I'm going to be selfish.
Okay.
And then I'm going to hand it over to you. Does anybody want any kind of like crazy fun type activity? And the reason why I'm asking, Rob already knows where I'm going with this, and he's going to say no. But I pose it anyway. Is obviously most of the conventions that I DJ, they have me do some kind of event where I just turn off the lights, people can dance or do crazy stuff or whatever. And that's a bad example because I don't think this is the crowd of people who want to do that.
Yeah,
But
I don't like where this is going.
But is there any appetite for something like that? A mixer, a social hour, some kind of thing? I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there.
I wanted to ask Rob, would you like people who want, to submit like almost proposals, almost like what, and I hate to bring it up, but Worldcon, what they do is they propose, come to our city, and this is what you got. And maybe these people would go out to hotels in their areas, get the pace prices, get a package set together and present it to you and to make a choice to what city you think is going to be best. And that way, I mean, I'm fine with Cincinnati. I think that's great because it is a travel hub, okay? But she is right that getting prices like the ones you got here, it's going to be tough. I don't know about Indy because I've never priced a con there before. I have run conferences before, but not in Indianapolis. So I don't know what the prices are like there. So it would be interesting to go and to research this and have if you want your city to be considered, to go out and research, get people on the ground to go look for
Yeah,
you.
I like that. I think that then we can specify what our requirements are as far as meeting space and meals and stuff, and then people can submit proposals or whatever you want to call them. Do some research, and then I can make a decision based on that. That's great because that's less work for me.
Ron, you need to have somebody else be the person who is running that part of it. Gets all the proposals and then gives it. You need a team.
Well, yes. I mean, okay. It sounds like you're volunteering. And you want to do it? Are you volunteering? Did you? Okay. Yeah, I will help.
Well, I mean, especially Rob, if you are not going to be in country, you actually really do need a board or a panel or a group or a cartel or whatever you want to call them. Especially if you're going to be in Ecuador, a cartel might be good.
Yeah, not to sound morbid or anything, but like we do need a decision-making succession plan.
Yes, that's another big.
Especially if you're in Ecuador.
I was actually trying to kind of. I was trying to exactly. Well, like I didn't die before this con, so I'm extremely relieved. So like we made it another year, but yeah. I was actually trying to twist Russell's arm, and maybe I shouldn't have done that because
You broke it.
because I wanted to. Yeah, I was trying to we need somebody to fill in. Like if something happens to me, somebody needs to be in on all the planning. So. Yeah, I don't know. I have to figure that out yet, but
I did want to hijack the floor a moment with a suggestion that I've been considering. The Hugo Awards have, I think last time out, something like 1,700, 2,000 voters involved in that. Even the Dragon Awards, I think that's pushing just over 10,000 or so voters who participate in that. We're on track this year with the based book sale to have sold about 12,000 books by the end of the year. Each one of those books is a decision. You all are the ones buying them and contributing and promoting it for me. It's worked very nicely as a collaborative effort. But one of the things I think we could do is turn it into a book award program. That and have one of the highlights of, I probably should have discussed this with Rob before bringing this up, but to have the Based Book Awards at BasedCon on an annual basis and award the top the top 5 science fiction and top 5 fantasy or something like that books.
I like that.
Yeah, we would need to have the appropriate little based book trophies to hand out. But.
So are you suggesting it would be like just a purely a sales number award?
Yeah, you want to nominate a book? Well, set it at 99 cents and put it in the sale. I mean, the Hugo's voters get free copies of the books. So, you should be willing to price your book at 99 cents if you want it to be eligible. You didn't submit your book, well, must be present to win.
It'd have to be new books.
New books.
Why?
I don't know.
I've already bought it, and then I can't vote for it.
Well, we'll have to figure that out.
Well, that's.
But I think conceptually.
Well, and then the other
that
question
advantages the new books then.
And then, if we're talking about this as an award, like the Hugo Award or something, then is there just one category of is it just books? And then we
I'd probably break it down into multiple categories.
Do we have author awards? Do we have shorts? Do we have no?
Don't do categories.
Categories have ruined every award.
Maybe the Prometheus just has.
Do a general kind of, for contribution to the art and science of BasedCon books or whatever. Do that where you could have, 3 or 4 one year or 7 up. Next year. Don't do categories like one of these categories. They're cancerous.
So like a YouTube, basically like a YouTube award for a certain number of views, it would be an award based on a certain number of sales.
Link it to.
Yeah.
It's not a category.
This gentleman has been waiting very patiently.
Okay, you got the mic.
This might be another immediate no idea. I know at least 2 or 3 pretty base brewers with some good craft recipe that love exposure as much as the rest of us. It might be a logistical nightmare, and it might go a little against the family atmosphere. But if this is my dear time, I guess I'll just throw that out there.
Well, what is the suggestion exactly? So.
They'll have to bring the beer, sell their beer, market it.
Beer.
The idea is beer.
I mean, I see no philosophical problem.
We have beer.
Wants us to be happy.
If you want BasedCon beer, I know a guy.
Okay.
Invite Nathan Valiant. Invite Nathan Valiant instead of a party.
Okay.
And Rachel wants the mic to tell us it should be mead.
Okay. Jay.
So, this for me, BasedCon has been a real impetus for me to get my novel finished, get my series started, get published. Please buy my book. Anyway, no, that wasn't the real. But my comment is that BasedCon is what, 200 people now?
We had about 120 registered.
Okay, so, but the point is that it is like LibertyCon on steroids in that people can get next to and sit down and have conversations with people who actually know things about writing and publishing and have been there and done that. And that, to me, is what this con needs to preserve as its focus.
Yeah, we punch well above our weight class as far as the intellectual heft of our guests and the success of the people that we have here. As far as so for networking and stuff, this blows away something like LibertyCon, because you can spend all of LibertyCon just like I was at LibertyCon with Larry Correa, and I never talked to the guy because he was constantly surrounded by 20 people. So I was like, I never even said hi to him. So here it's just like, I want to talk to Tony, and it's like he's right here. So
we have one more question.
One more question. Oh, Rachel.
Yeah. So before everybody murders each other on the meat benches, so thinking about this, we want to grow because otherwise we die. Right, and I mean that is I think that's an organizational problem, right? You can't, no matter what, Russell's going to hurt his arm or something like that. So there's this balance, right? Because if we grow, we are not ourselves anymore, and every organization goes through this, which I'm sure you're aware of. So I'm just going to say it so it's said out loud, right? One, even the argument about, okay, so we need a board to help Rob, that changes it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like this is our chance to say thank you again. Thank you, Rob, for being, let's see. We can call you Batilla, right? Little daddy of BasedCon, right?
Yeah, I've said this is a benevolent-ish dictatorship so far.
And that's why it's worked, right? It's like all of the things that you all are describing about how much
I get as
you
much or more out of it
you
than
love
you
it
guys
is
do,
because it's your vision, right? And that actually matters a lot, because then you would turn into a founder, and founders often have troubles with their successors, and so we but the problem is you don't get to preserve it in aspic and hope that it's never going to change. So it's this scary time.
Yeah.
And we were here for the first 5 years. Thank you for
we've
those.
had small, but we would have grown more this year. But I had no time or money or anything to do any promotion or anything. One other thing I wanted to say that we didn't really, we did mention about the organic growth and young people, but I would also like to see a lot more like 20-year-olds, millennials, and Generation Y or whatever, the 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds and stuff, because there's a lot of long gray beards here and missing hair and stuff. It's very elegant, yes. But I'd like to see maybe a little less gray hair, more people with more other colors of hair. Yeah. Could you dye your? I'm telling you to dye your hair. That's what I'm. That's the point.
That's the point.
And so, if anybody has ideas, or if you know any young people, a scholarship, yeah, that's been suggested, or some kind of financial help for like either. I don't even know if I would want to limit it to students, but just young people. If there's any suggestions along those lines, because I'm old now, so I'm one of these people who's like, how do we reach the young people? I'm fellow youngsters, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up there pretty much. 5, yeah. So let's take a break. Oh, and then it's actually lunch or dinner. One of those meal things. 6 dinner, and then we come back here at 7 for dispatches from the culture war. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you.